Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, pressure development. For today's video, Ethereum is only. The investment going to talk about today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, just want to say good morning everybody, good evening or good night depending on where you are. With respect to on Wednesday this morning on July 14th, as I'm recording on 9:29 a.m., basically 1 minute before the equity market opens, Ethereum's currently trading around like the $1983 level, up about 5.27%. And with respect to the equity market, we are currently down because of the negative CPI report that we got yesterday, and also with respect to the technical analysis that I mentioned, that we should be expecting some sort of a correction coming from the equity side on the index perspective. And with respect to the overselling pressure that we had across the whole crypto market, especially for Ethereum, during the night as I was probably dead asleep, Ethereum hit all the way down to the identified resistance level, the three resistance levels down from the 2000 to $1850 level that actually happened sometimes around like 2 or 3 a.m. on the Eastern time when I was still dead asleep, right? And with respect to the rebound that we're experiencing this morning, despite the negative CPI report that we got yesterday, which, frankly, with respect to the low volume that we experienced, is mainly coming from the fact that investors, with respect to the inflationary pressure that we're expecting and the quantitative tightening or the tapering plan that the Fed is expecting to debut 6 to 9 months out, investors are definitely being a little bit cautious, right? Because of the fact that US dollars is having a more of a propensity to appreciate as the Fed obviously tighten the monetary circulations in the market, which subsequently it makes more sense for investors to just like hold their cash to their heart instead of just like investing into more safe haven affectations type of stocks, right? With respect to gold, with respect to even aluminum, silver, and obviously with respect to this new class of assets, cryptocurrencies, which obviously Ethereum is one of the prominent player in this space. So with respect to the latest news that we got a very positive news earlier today that was coming from Yahoo Finance, and this was written by an author named Jamie Crawley. And with respect to the article, basically depicts around the Brazil Stock Exchange has decided to list Ethereum ETF onto the exchange. And just a high-level synopsis based on what I've read so far. The blockchain investment firm QR Capital is the firm that is taking lead into listing this Ethereum exchange traded fund ETF on the Brazil Stock Exchange. So the ETF will list on the São Paulo-based B3 exchange under the ticker QETH11. And the QETH11, it sounds like a Star Wars name for some reason, won the approval from the Brazil Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC from Brazil, and will use the institutional custody provided by the crypto exchange Gemini. And with respect to QR Capital, will buy Ether and offer investors exposure to it without them having to worry about wallets or the private keys, which is an important part of the aspects of the value proposition, right? So obviously, with respect to this adoptions from the Southern American regions of the world, definitely, another step of approval, another country standing behind Ethereum as a value proposition. So, which is the reason why, on top of the fact that we are rebounding from the, frankly, overreactions to the sell-off that we had yesterday on the crypto side, that we rebound, and I'm speaking right now, is up to like $1992 level, closing to the $2,000, which is, frankly, a flat number that is gonna take some pressure to crack. If we crack through that, we'll leap all the way up to the 2050. So I'm gonna go through a technical analysis to see how we're trending right now, right? Are we gonna see more of a buying pressure, or are we gonna see more of a selling pressure ahead of the weekend affectation coming up on Friday and Saturday? And also with respect to the summit that's happening on the 21st, and with respect to the FOMC meeting on the 28th, and subsequently on August 4th, which is the world debut on the London Fork. Stay tuned, stick around, and let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH, let's just take a look at the equity market real quick. And I'm recording this up 9:35 a.m. on Eastern time, basically 5 minutes after market open. And you can see that with respect to the sell-off that we had yesterday, it seems like we kind of, rebounding slightly, but more of a neutralized way. Currently on SPY's up about 0.53%, while respectively Nasdaq's about 0.7%, right? However, if you look at the technical analysis on a daily, we are closing in on the MACD perspective. We are highly overbought on the RSI perspective. So Nasdaq is facing a correction definitely coming up. So again, not financial advice. shorting the Nasdaq or shorting the SPY wouldn't be an illogical decision again, like I keep mentioning to you guys over and over again, right? So risk neutralization that we're currently experiencing on the equity side. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick, right? So right now we basically rebounded by about like $100 ever since then, steep sell-off that we had all the way to the 1850. And again, if you talk about the resistance level that we've broken, we basically broke through the 2150. This is the first level, and the second level the 2000, right? Which is just a fair level to break in, right? But I would say there's another one here. This is more substantive, $2,050 level. So 1, 2, 3, right? And then fourth, we leap all the way down, which is the level that we were expecting, right? We were kind of hovering around like the 1960, somewhere around that, which is why you see that escalator downward. That we hit all the way to 1900. However, because of the news was so severe that people were, fearful, and also with respect to U.S. dollar appreciated yesterday because of the plan for quantitative tightening going forward in the next 6 to 9 months. Obviously, when you scream inflation's in people's face, equity is going to sell off. Obviously, crypto is going to sell off. And yesterday, the volume was relatively low, which also drives some, imbalance in the supply and demand dynamics for crypto. So when you have just a lack of demand with that much supply, price is just going to go down from there. That's just basic macroeconomics again, right? So it seems like with respect to the news that we got today from Brazil on, debuting their Ethereum ETF, coming up, that with respect to the rebound that we're seeing right now, we are kind of hovering between the levels now, right? Basically hovering between the 2000, right? The $2,000 level versus the $1960 level that we've identified before, right? However, again, right, the 1960 is a substantive level, but not a significantly substantive level in comparison to 1900, which is the reason why we had the propensity to leap down to the 1900, but it was so weak that it actually broke to the more comfort zone level, the 1850, which if you look at historically, 1850, right, was a level that we tested a bunch of times, right? When like basically to raise from the 21st of June all the way to the 27th. If you look even further back, right, you tested a bunch of times here as well, right? So you have basically about like a month and a half of duration at the 1850. So that was like a comfort zone people were kind of resting on. But with respect to rebound, because of overreaction, frankly, from the market, and I think there was something fishy going on with respect to the lack of volume yesterday. I think institutional investors were just kind of maybe holding their breath yesterday, or maybe allowing more accumulations to buy at the ideal level that they want to be buying in more of like hidden market, not like openly exchange to kind of fluctuate. Because I know institutional investors, they have a separate portal to buy a large chunk of their assets without like being exposed in the market. We could subsequently influence if people see the volume that comes in, right? So they do that like in more of a sleek way, if you may, right? So that could be one of the possibility. And now you're seeing this into full effect on rebounding. But I would say the effect is more just like investors saw the oversold level. We were oversold if you look at the RSI, right? And with respect to the news that we got from Sao Paulo today, which is something to drive this the surge that we're seeing. So now we have to see, are we going to be able to break through the $2,000 level? If we break through the $2,000 level, I would say more exactly like the $2,005 level, we'll leap up all the way to the $2,050 level in no problem, right? However, we are hovering, and again, we don't ever just stay within the levels. We always go either up or we are going down, right? We don't just like hovering in between the walls or floating between the ceilings and the floor, right? So I actually see more propensity to actually sell off a little bit, despite the pump that we're seeing today. Would I advise selling now? I mean, if you think about more of a short-term perspective, you bought at the $1850 level last night. I think selling right now wouldn't be illogical, but for me, I'm just gonna keep buying because I have like 53.5 Ethereum right now, so I'm not gonna be sweating too much because my cost average is relatively low. It's like about I think 650, 675 if I'm not mistaken. My cost average for Ethereum right now at 53.5. I bought like way long ago, obviously. That's why my cost average is so low, right? So, and something that I want to be cautious with you guys is that based on the chart we see here on a daily, we are forming a cross section here. So that's a bearish signal, right? However, a good thing that counteracts it is basically the RSI is kind of leaning more toward an oversold level. So there's a probability, with respect to a weekend expectation that's expecting coming up on the 20, not 20, on 16th and 17th, which is obviously Friday and Saturday. We typically have red days on those days. There's a possibility, contingent on no black swan news, or there's a really black swan news that's negative. We could potentially go down to like $1,850 again, and then the $1,750 again. But by that point, RSI will be so depleted that you'll be back to like square one, like to the extremely oversold level that we had basically on the 26th when we hit that, basically 1750, or even at one point about 1700, the 1697, that was extremely oversold at that point, right? I do see some sell off because of the cross section, but I think the cross is going to be relatively sharp. It's going to come through, and then we're going to hover at the 1750, and then it's going to slowly rebound from there, ahead of the London Forex especially. The London Forex is definitely going to be a positive media affectation. It's definitely going to be some momentum play. So I wouldn't be just get shaken right now. Wait out for the next half a month. It's not like a lot of your time. It's only 15 days if you think about it that way, right? We will be getting back up to the level, ideally at above the $2,150 level on rebound from there, and then keep going up with the rally going forward, right? And then we'll see how that goes with respect to the FOMC meeting, right? And with respect to the obviously the summit that we'll be expecting. But that should be some anticipatory pressure that will be baking in across the whole crypto market, especially for Bitcoin, which will have some drag effects despite Ethereum and Bitcoin slowly separating. But there's still some correlations, to it, right? So hopefully this is helpful in terms of how you risk mitigate going forward. So let's recap on the numbers in the technical analysis. I think the current number, the 1960 again, that's the comfort zone number, right? And I think we do have a high propensity to go down to the 1960, even though we're seeing a pump right now. And the pump that we're seeing is basically a rebound and the positive news from Sao Paulo and some other, subliminal type of news application as well that's baking into the adjustments. But 1960 is the comfort zone that I would, ideally want a dollar cost at. I don't want to be chasing the pump, which is not a logical play, because chasing the pump is an emotional play. And the more you chase, the more they want to try to get away. That's just the nature of it, right? And it's not a logical play in terms of risk mitigation either, because it's not in your favor if you chase, right? It's like you're putting more friction and pressure on it, right? And with respect to attractive level, we did hit the 1900 last night per our discussions yesterday. And the 1850 was the low that we have identified. And I was pretty shocked that we actually hit the 1850 resistance level. I was not one of those fortunate ones that was able to get the 1850, but for the ones that are living in the international region, congratulations to you guys to be able to get in at the 18 level, because that's a very attractive level for long-term value proposition play. So I'm kind of jealous of you if you are able to get into that level. But with respect to the MACD and the RSI, the MACD is definitely forming a cross section, so I do see some sell-off, especially during this weekend coming up ahead of the summit. So with respect to corporate adoption, 20%, 9,800, 5 times your money if you buy at the $1960 level. Alright, so that's it for today with respect to my technical analysis on Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully you just find this helpful. I might be out tomorrow because, again, I have to shoot with the CNBC reporter, and I'm going to be out from basically shooting from 9:30 a.m. all the way to like 4:30 p.m. based on what the reporter said, because even though the shot is going to be like only 12 minutes video, right? But it takes like a long time to do the retake and rehearse or set up the lighting and all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting. I've never really done this much before with respect to media engagement. So this is definitely going to be an interesting experience. I look forward to reporting back to you guys to, tell you guys a little bit about my experience. And please hit the like button, subscribe button, and also bell notification. I watch out for the next coming up. Take care. Bye.